हेलो ह्यूमंस, वेलकम बैक टू योर थॉट्स आर वैलिड एंड आई होप यू ऑल आर डूइंग ग्रेट। सो आज हम पढ़ने वाले हैं स्ट्रेस की कुछ थ्योरीज। आज हम एक ही कवर करेंगे। ये यूनिट थर्ड ही हम कंटिन्यू कर रहे हैं। कल लास्ट वीडियो में हमने समझा था कि हमने स्ट्रेस क्या होता है, स्ट्रेसर्स क्या होते हैं और टाइप ऑफ स्ट्रेस क्या होता है। आज हम स्ट्रेस की एक थ्योरी पढ़ेंगे। ये है पार्ट 9। लेट्स सी आज हम कौन सी थ्योरी पढ़ने वाले हैं। तो आज हम सेले की थ्योरी पढ़ने वाले हैं, जो कि है जनरल अडेप्टेशन सिंड्रोम। वो हम कवर करेंगे। लेट्स स्टार्ट विद द वीडियो। तो जनरल अडेप्टेशन सिंड्रोम मॉडल, ये बेसिकली स्ट्रेस का एक मॉडल ही है। ये हेंस सेले ने दिया था, जो कि एक हंगेरियन एंडोक्राइनोलॉजिस्ट थे। हंगेरियन एंडोक्राइनोलॉजिस्ट थे, जिन्होंने बेसिकली फर्स्ट टाइम एक साइंटिफिक एक्सप्लेनेशन दिया था बायोलॉजिकल स्ट्रेस के लिए। हेंस सेले वाज द फर्स्ट वन टू गिव अ बायोलॉजिकल explanation for stress. He subjected laboratory animals to a variety of stressors such as very high or low environmental temperatures, X-rays, insulin injections, and exercise over a long period of time. He also observed people who experienced stress from being ill. Selye gave a model called GAS, General Adaptation Syndrome. Okay, so just remember that he subjected laboratory animals to a variety of stressors, and those stressors included high or low environmental temperature. It also included X-rays, then some insulin injections, as well as exercise. And he studied on animals for like a very long period of time. He even observed many people who were suffering from illness and what kind of stress they were experiencing. So let's understand his theory. General adaptation theory. Okay. So it describes the pattern of responses that the body goes through after being prompted by a stressor. Okay, so this theory basically just describes the pattern of responses that the body goes through after being prompted by a stressor. Like there came a stressor. Okay, so suppose there is a stressor in the environment. So what, now you are exposed to it. Now you are exposed to that stressor. For example, you got the news that you have your exams from within 15 days. You have a surprise test within 15 days. So it would be that is like a stressor. So at that time, what will your body go through? Like your body will go through some of the responses. Your body will react in some way to this news. Then whatever the body goes through, that pattern of responses is described by this model. So there are three stages. First one is alarm, second one is resistance, third one is exhaustion. So let's see what happens in alarm stage. So this occurs when we first perceive something stressful, and then the body initiates the fight or flight response. Okay. So basically this is like the first step, basically when we discovered that there is a stressor in the environment. Okay. And then there is like a fight or flight response, like your body prepares yourself for fight or flight response. Okay. Then second is resistance. If the perceived stress continues, the body stays activated at a higher uh, metabolic level in an effort to offset the persistent stress. The body cannot maintain its level indefinitely, and its resources will eventually deplete. So if like the stress doesn't go away with fight or flight response and it continues to stay, for example, you are afraid of dogs and you see a dog, so you just imagine that there is a so you just you are sure that there is a stressor in the environment because you are afraid of dogs. Dogs are like stressors for you. So then you perceived it as stressful and you just ran away from the situation. So at that stage, at in that case, like the reaction is stopped at alarm stage itself, because you just chose the flight option and you ran away from there. But what if the perceived stress continues? What if the situation is different? What if you know that you cannot avoid the exam and you have to give the exam? Then what will you do? So what will happen at this time, that body will switch to a higher metabolic level, so that you can deal with the stress. But the thing is that your body cannot remain at that stage, at that level where your body is resisting the change or dealing with the stressor, and ultimately its resources will eventually deplete. You can understand it like, suppose you know that a dog is running behind you, so your body will like give you the flight response that you need to run away from the situation. So you will run, but after a while you will be tired and you won't be able to run anymore. So basically your body will try to manage to fight or flight to its level best, but eventually the resources will deplete. And then there is the stage called exhaustion. So, prolonged exposure to the stressor will result in the depletion of the body's resources, and the resulting wear and tear will suppress the immune system and cause bodily functions to deteriorate. This can lead to a variety of health issues and illnesses, including heart disease, digestive problems, depression, and diabetes. So, it's like it. Usually, this third stage comes when like the stressor is for a very long time. Okay, suppose you like you are suffering from the grief of a loved one, from the death of a loved one. So then there is very prolonged exposure to the stressor. Like, suppose of someone who is providing you financial support, emotional support, dies, and now you don't have anyone, so you will suffer a prolonged exposure to that stressor, and ultimately it will deplete your body's resources. Basically, in the starting you will like suffer both emotionally, physically, then your body will try to adapt to the situation, but ultimately with time your immune system will suppress and your bodily functions will start to deteriorate, and this might lead to many health issues. Psychologically it can lead to depression, anxiety, PTSD. Physically it can lead you to heart diseases, digestive problems, diabetes. So these are the three stages: alarm, resistance, and exhaustion. Let's move on. So let's see here. Our stress response system defense, then fatigues. Okay, so whatever our stress response system is, it will defend for a period of time, but then it will start to deteriorate. It will start getting tired, like the stress response system will itself get tired. So let's see. Just a minute, let me use annotation. Okay, so in this stage, stresses occurs, and this is the phase one. Okay, so this is like alarm reaction. It mobilize your resources, like you are now ready to use your resources. It basically prepares you to identify a stressor and then try to fight with it. Okay, so it basically prepares your body. So in this stage, the stressor occurs. Okay, and this is like the stress resistance level. Here we are managing the stress resistance. So it is like from here low to high. So in phase one, stress resistance is low. Then in phase two, when there is resistance, in resistance phase, cope with the stressor, at that time it's high. Okay, like it keeps increasing for a while, and then it becomes very high at a point, and then it is stagnant for a while. It is stagnant for a while, and then it starts to decline. Okay, then it starts to decline, which is like the third phase. When it comes to the third phase, so here basically reserves starts depleting. Okay, So I hope this graph is clear to you. So basically, when the stressor occurs, that is like the phase one, at that time stress resistance is low, but it keeps increasing. Then in phase two, the stress resistance becomes keeps increasing for a while, then remains stagnant for a while, and also starts depleting towards the end of the resistance stage. And in the phase three, it keeps declining. So I hope this graph is clear. Now let's see. Okay, let's see. Then alarm stage. So what happens at alarm stage? Nervous system is activated by adrenal glands. Okay, so basically, stress response system prepares your body here, right? So basically, sympathetic nervous system gets activated, and what activates it? Adrenal glands. Okay, like at this time, forehead, neck, shoulder, arm, and leg muscles will contract. Okay, and pupils will enlarge, and then sugar will released into the blood stream for energy. Okay, so that your body is energetic enough to fight or flight from the situation. Then breathing becomes very frequent and shallow. Blood pressure remains high, and hormones from adrenal glands are released into the bloodstream. It Then your heart rate also accelerates, which increases blood flow to muscles, and blood pressure increases. Then there will be prolonged muscle tension, which will cause fatigue. Then basically here is liver, and liver will run out of the sugar. So okay, so in the alarm stage, what happens in the alarm stage? Your sympathetic nervous system will get activated, your pupils will enlarge, your body will be very energetic. So there will be some stages which will be overlapping between alarm stage and resistant stage. For example, your forehead, neck, shoulder, arm, leg muscles will remain contracted in both alarm stage as well as resistant stage. Also, your heart rate will keep increasing from alarm stage, and it will be like your blood pressure will be increased even in the alarm stage and even in the resistance stage. Yeah, and your breathing will become shallow in resistant stage. And then in the exhaustion stage, your liver will run out of sugar, and there will be prolonged muscle tension, which will cause you fatigue. Okay, so I hope this is clear. This is just like to tell you what happens in these stages at physical level. Then let's again understand what happens at alarm stage. It activates fight or flight response. What changes happen in body? Increased heart rate, blood pressure, energy, release of stress hormones, preparedness for immediate action. What can be the example? A person encountered a snake while hiking. That is like the example for alarm stage. Then it will trigger an immediate release of adrenaline, which will cause increased alertness and heightened senses. Then let's see what happens in resistance. So there will be continued efforts to cope with ongoing stress, restoration of balance and homeostasis. Bodies attempt to adapt and resist stressor. During the resistance stage, the body continues its effort to encounter with a snake. The person, after initial surge of adrenaline and heightened alertness, may start to regain composure and focus on implementing strategies to handle the stress. Then let's see what happens in exhaustion. So here depletion of resources and inability to cope will be there. Then there will be increased vulnerability to health problems, impaired physiological responses and immune function. Prolonged stress leads to physical and mental exhaustion. And the example is, if encounter with a snake lasts for an extended period, or if the individual experiences repeated encounters with the stressors of a similar nature, their ability to sustain the heightened physiological responses may decline. And what will happen? The individual may start to feel fatigued, emotionally drained, and alertness will decrease. Now, what are the criticism of this model? That it is oversimplified. This model basically oversimplifies the complex physiological and psychological response of the body. It suggests that every stress response is predictable and same for everyone, although it is very different for everyone. Everyone reacts differently, and our body is very complicated. So the response is not similar for everyone. However, stress can vary widely for everyone. Then second is lack of individual differences. So the model does not adequately consider individual differences in stress response. And individual differences here accounts for both physical and mental capacities of people. Okay, like everyone is different. They react to stressors differently, their body reacts to stressors differently. Then third criticism is inadequate emphasis on psychological factors. So this model primarily focuses on physiological responses and does not really address the psychological or cognitive aspects of stress. Then the last criticism is like lack of consideration for positive stress. So it just focuses on negative aspects of stress and not really acknowledge positive stress or use stress and its benefits. So that is the criticism for this model. So I hope this model of gas by Hans Selye is clear to you. This is very short and like very easy topic, and very important also because like he was the first one to give a scientific explanation for stress. So this is very important and very easy to understand. So I hope it's clear to you now. If you have any doubt, please do ask in the comment section. And that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.